withdraw from an election and all that. So the point in mind is about how do we engage those issues that were raised in the Bill 7. Now they are throwing them to the people to get the feedback, and probably based on the feedback, so that they can adjust the constitution amendment and come up with issues that may not have that may be agreed upon by the people, the Zambian people, through the technical committee. That's what I pick from it. So when we look at all those issues...
For me, my question is, are you concerned? Because for some, the expectation was that it was going to be a blank check. It was up to the people to give this technical committee exactly what they feel must be changed in the constitution, not what was prescribed, for them through Bill 7.
The issue is you cannot delink the technical committee from the Bill 7, which was authored by the UPND. So this is all one and the same thing. This is why from the preamble I'm saying this is not an issue that we should be discussing today, because it's an agenda for the UPND. They have issues that they want to achieve. If they had no hidden agenda, for instance, they would work like we bring together a technical committee that looks at the whole constitution holistically. Then they come up with issues that may be arising there that may not be contentious. That if they are contentious issues, the people themselves, they need to handle them, debate them, and see how we can come up with a harmonized constitution. But this is a UPND agenda. So you cannot divorce the terms of reference from the Bill 7, because the issue is an issue of forging ahead with putting up amendments that suit the UPND.
The argument that has been there is that, first of all, if you look at what our political history has shown, is that you have amendments that will be done in an election year. I know you mentioned that there's about 10 months to go before Zambians get to vote, but the issue of time has been argued by several stakeholders as not really holding water, because we've seen how this has happened in previous years. And secondly, last week on Monday, we hosted the Gears Initiative chairman, Mr. Lungu, who argued that the amendment of the constitution is actually far more important than even the election in itself. And his argument is that you're also looking at the time period before Parliament dissolves. This is supposed to go through the National Assembly, and at some point next year, it is going to dissolve, and that is why this time frame is the best. Do you agree with that?
I do not agree, in the sense that all those people who are supporting the change of this constitution, when you go into their background, you find that they are linked to UPND. And let me tell you this, when you look at the terms, at those terms of reference, the issue is delimitation. What's the issue about delimitation? It's about increasing the number of elected parliamentarians from the UPND stronghold. And we know that. And it has been hidden. You will not see it there. There will be no evidence. But we know, because we are politicians, we know what the UPND government is trying to do in these difficult circumstances to win an election in 2026. So that is where the issue is.
What do you think the UPND is trying to do with, in terms of how do you think the amendment of the Constitution will see them winning an election next year?
They want to increase the number of MPs in areas of their stronghold, where they had only one, for instance, one parliamentarian. They would want to create 2 or 3 parliamentarians out of that. Delimitation gives them an edge. Then we go to another area, the issue, for instance, of withdrawal from an election. We have the president on record. He was pressed by Costa Mwansa to say, don't you think that this is a problem to you when in a general election a presidential candidate withdraws and then you have to do it all over again? What did the president say? He said, there is no problem with that. That is a right of a person, a candidate who is running for president. And he stuck by that. And we had an election in 2021 and no one withdrew. And we had an election. So what is the problem now? look at the terms of reference. Those are the areas of concern for the UPND.
Did you agree with him when he made that statement? Do you agree that there is no problem with that?
I do agree. I do agree with him, and I agreed with him at that moment, because even at this time, when a candidate withdraws, for instance, from an election, we have been there in the game. People are bought by the UPND, then they are told to write a letter to ECZ that they have resigned from a political party. Like we were just having that issue recently with UPND in a by-election, a ward by-election. Then the UPND realized that leadership movement wouldn't accept or give a go-ahead to ECZ to redo filing in. And we said to the ECZ to say, you have the power. If a candidate withdraws, you are at liberty not to redo the election, the filing in. And we wrote them a letter, and since then, there's never been such. So what is it that the UPND now are worried about when they are the perpetrators of that, and we have refused as opposition? In the case of leadership movement, we saw there was a time when a candidate, Jason Mwanza, he was bought by another opposition, that was the Tonse Alliance then. They buy him, then he writes a letter of withdrawal, then ECZ requested the political party to accept whether we have to redo filing in or not, and we said no, and an election went ahead.
When you say being bought, are you able to prove that these people were bought, as you were saying? Are you able to prove that those money transactions that took place, do you have that substantial evidence?
Let me tell you, buying doesn't always involve money. Sometimes buying involves agreeing with somebody or converting them. So that is the issue. The idea is a candidate may be gotten from one political party and forced to withdraw from an election. And UPND has that character. The previous by-election, you remember?
Yes, maybe tell us more, because
what happened?
There were just two candidates, the UPND candidate and your candidate. And then all of a sudden, your candidate just disappeared and went in thin air. What happened?
We had this General Mosquito, you call him Gilbert, Riswanisu, gets the candidate. They abducted the candidate. They got him, hid him somewhere. Then the camp, the leadership movement camp was surprised. Where is the candidate? Then when we reported to Diamond TV that actually our candidate has disappeared, the same day in the evening, we saw the candidate appearing with him. That he has
with Gilbert Iswaniso.
Yes, with Gilbert Iswaniso. That he has resigned from leadership movement, and therefore he's supporting his brother in UPND and all that. And we looked at it and we said, this is anarchy. These are not the kind of politics that we expect from a ruling party like the UPND. And because now they have realized that a candidate cannot withdraw, so they just abduct him. The previous incidents happened in Southern Province where our candidate was told to resign from leadership movement and withdraw from an election. And we refused. We said we are not going to redo the filing in. And he was on the ballot. So now they changed.
You sound like crying babies in opposition, that you are blaming the UPND for all doing this, doing that, abducting your candidates, buying off your candidates. Why can't you counter their strategies? Because if truly you're going to win the elections, then you must counter the strategies of the UPND.
This is what we are doing to counter their strategies. Their strategy is to put up a rotten amendment so that they can do their bidding. And we are saying no to it because we know who they are. You may not know, you are not politicians. They will tell you that, oh, this is good, this is what we want to achieve. They need to deliver to the Zambian people what the Zambian people want, not the constitution. We know the constitution, what it is and what they want to achieve. Because they want to be stealing candidates, the way they have been doing, when we were just two, UPND and leadership movement, and then a candidate is gotten. The other time we saw him with another chairman there and all that. And then we say we are not going to tolerate that because ECZ has to get permission from a political party to actually sanction a new filing in of candidates. That's what happens. So now, what is it that they want to change the constitution over something that cannot actually be done, even without changing the constitution? You can do it.
I was going to ask why can't you be abducting candidates of the UPND yourselves? But you've said time and again of how lawful of a citizen you are.
Definitely, because we wouldn't be playing by their cards, because it's demeaning. That's being below the standard. When the president was sworn in, he said he's raising the standards of leadership. But what we are seeing is they are going down the drain and doing things that are questionable. We need to be credible in elections.
Now, getting back to the terms of reference of the technical committee, looking at the purpose of this committee here, and it says under the scope of work that the committee shall facilitate nationwide consultations with citizens, civil society, political actors, religious and traditional leaders, professional bodies, among other stakeholders, and further conduct a technical and legal review. Doesn't this give you confidence as a leadership movement that the technical committee that has been put together here will thoroughly go through these constitutional amendment proposals? And if indeed your concerns are valid, they will be raised when reviewing these proposals.
Definitely. I wait to see the technical committee. We wait to go through this document, and we'll tell them line by line what we feel.
You will participate.
Definitely, what we feel, that this is not a document that we think that it should be a priority. We deserve something different. We deserve a government that should deliver to the poor Zambians. We deserve a government that should be answering to the core of, the poverty that has been created by the UPND government, other than these documents and, giving people allowances. We are going to go through line by line to tell them why this document should wait, because it's a big program altogether. We don't think that this can be done in a short period of time and sanction an amendment of an election. We expect the government to do this after 2026. Actually, you said that there has been evidence that you can change a constitution in an election year. Give me an example when that has been done, and if it has been ethical or it was something that was meant to either curb a candidate or to do any machinations to stop the opposition.
One of the constitutional amendments that we've seen that has been described as probably been the most successful, the best, is the 2016 constitutional amendment.
Yes, when you look at the 2016 constitutional amendment, when did it happen? That was the Michael Sata constitution. Michael Sata could not sign it, but then he died, and then we had a by-election. Then Edgar Chagwalungu won an election. Upon winning, now that he's a president, he had no strings attached to the constitution. He was a new president. He had a very clear and fair mindset when working on the constitution, and he signed that constitution into law. When that constitution was signed, you remember there were so many lacunas. The people who were working on the constitution, suddenly they found that the parliament found that they didn't even have grade 12 certificates. They didn't even read the constitution, but they signed it. So by and large, we would say that Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, when he was signing that constitution, he didn't have any political, machinations in it. But these people, the UPND, have got an agenda in this constitutional amendment. This is why we would want the president to sign this or to do this after he is, if at all, will be re-elected in 2026. If there will be a new president, that window in 2026, that is the time we are going to see someone make an amendment, because those will be impartial amendments. They will have no political agenda in them.
But how sure are you of that? Because, I mean, for all the candidates we have, including yourself, you belong to a political party, and if you assume office if the Zambian people give you a chance to assume office, you still belong to a political party. Same situation if President Hakainde Hichilema will be given another mandate next year. He still belongs to a political party. So won't political interests always exist, and won't the opposition at that particular time always have their suspicions of political motives when you talk about the amendment of the Constitution? Because if, for example, President Hakainde Hichilema wins next year in 2026, and this comes up, the same concerns will come up one day, that there's a political agenda that he's trying to achieve.
Let me just ask you one question. In 2016, when Edgar Chagwa Lungu was signing this constitution, who raised any question? We had political parties around. They all supported the new constitution. It was an anonymous support. Why? Because we saw that this president has got no issues. He has won. He is not trying to cook up something to make him win in 2026 or 2021. He did not have that because he has just won. That is the right time to do things that have got issues.
But what about
stakeholders
what about Bill 10? Bill 10, which was shot down, building up to the 2021 general election. What would you say about that?
Because it had a political agenda.
So what does that have to do with time? Because, I mean, we've talked about Bill 10, that started way before 2021.
No, Bill 10 started way before 2021, but so many things were put in Bill 10, and it came up in 2020, 2021. And the UPND was at the center of shooting down Bill 10 because what was there, it was about making sure that Edgar Chagwa Lungu wins an election, and they were doing everything to prepare for the victory for the PF.
So doesn't that prove the point that the time really is not the major factor here, that concerns can come up at any time the constitutional amendment discussion comes up?
Let there be a review of the constitution in a non-tensional time, and let there be changes happening within a certain window where issues to do with campaigns or elections are not, because that time people will accept, and governments, opposition would not suspect anything. This time is very suspicious. Imagine, let me give you an example. If President Hakainde Hichilema, after being voted in power in 2021, imagine if he said, now is the time to change the constitution, you would find me and many of these people in opposition supporting him. Because at that time he had anonymous support. All of us supported President Hakainde Hichilema. When he won, we actually spoke for him to ensure that the PF doesn't steal an election from him. That is the time when you can deal with contentious issues. Now, after staying for 4 years, seeing that they have failed to deliver everything they promised the Zambian people, what now? They start now tinkering at the constitution because they know that now time has come that they don't even know whether they will be there in the next term or not. So it becomes difficult for anyone to believe their hands, because their hands now become very suspicious and very dirty. We would rather have them deal with the constitution after an election so that they do it with impartiality, without nervousness. They are so nervous about an election that they can do anything in the constitution. Anything they see there is about how does it make us win an election in 2026? And we don't want that.
Well, according to them, they're not nervous because they are confident that the presidential vote is going to them, and President Hakainde Hichilema and his team are so confident of that. But before you comment on this, let's talk about what happened 6 days ago. This is over your party members, Stephen Nyendwa and James Shamuzili, who were arrested by the police. You described their arrest as unconstitutional. The police gave reasons for why they arrested them. According to police, they said they were arrested for idle and disorderly conduct, which is an offense under the law. Why do you say this arrest was unconstitutional?
Well, this arrest was very unconstitutional because we see politicians, we see UPND all over with their T-shirts. They are doing so many processions. It was time for the leadership movement to visit some of these registration centers, of which I went there, I was at Vera Chiruba, there, polling station, registration station. I addressed a number of our supporters there. Then we left. Then some of these supporters were walking back home. Then these police officers who are, the infiltrators of police, because police is a professional body. It's a police service. But we have these UPND cadres infiltrating the police service. Their bidding is to protect the UPND, and we hear that Mtendere police is the headquarters of UPND. They collaborate. So they go to these young people, they arrest them, they're just moving, walking to their back home with their T-shirts, written vote for Dr. Richard Silumbe in 2026. They were arrested, beaten up, severely beaten, by the way. And then they were incarcerated. I went there on Thursday, and I requested that these people be freed, because it's unconstitutional. It's unacceptable for the police to do the bidding for the UPND, because we have so many people moving around with with value fix it, T-shirts, with so many Chitenge materials hanged around in Mutendere. Then somebody's worried about a leadership movement flag. That's what they wrote there. How can a person walking be an idol, be arrested for idling and all that before 18 hours? Doesn't make sense. This is why we said you have these people to be released, because they did not cause any damage or any breaking of property whatsoever. What did we witness when we were there? As we were speaking to the media, the police visibly agitated by our presence. A number of them, they are police officers, but they are collaborating with UPND cadres. We saw cadres mounting, coming up, talking about some in their UPND regalia, talking about us not being there at the police, saying they are protecting the police. And the same sentiments we got them from the police, pushing, fighting with media. No, don't be at the police, don't capture the police. And they reinforced themselves with cadres. And you saw that viral video where one of the journalists, all the journalists were being harassed by the police. Then they were harassed by cadres. Cadres demanded that their cameras be confiscated. Is that democracy? These are the issues we are raising. And we are warning the UPND that don't create a scenario that we have moved away from. We saw how the previous government dealt with cadres, but we are seeing this thing happening. You see, we expected at least President Hakainde Hichilema to deliver, a good environment for campaigns, because we thought that he had passed through enough to understand that we don't need this in our democracy. But these are the things that we are seeing today. We are seeing the police being infiltrated by cadres, working with cadres to harass Zambians and opposition political parties.
Was it necessary for your party cadres to carry flags with them as they went to register as voters?
Is it necessary? Let me ask you this question. Is it necessary to have the whole market of Mtendere, everyone, including next to police, having Chitenge materials of UPND hanging everywhere? Is it necessary?
So with that incident, have you taken any further action?
We saw one of those members being beaten, brutally beaten, and he was only released because he was fitting. He was having some convulsions. Then the police let him out. And we have written to the police. We have warned them. Actually, we have given them this is now 24 hours. We want them to exculpate themselves. We want to know what led to such type of beating. Police brutality has got no room in this country. Why should a person, just because he's wearing a different party regalia, be beaten by the police? Because that police post, the Mutendere police post, is infiltrated with cadres. They call it the head office of UPND. It corroborates with cadres in the market, and it is purely UPND. That is unacceptable. But we expect the UPND government to ensure that they expedite and make those police officers professional.
Does this mean you've got everything, the medical report, and who did you say you've written to as well? The Inspector General or to the complaints?
To the commanding officer there of Mutendere Police. We want the culprits, the people, the police officers who were who were there at that time. That was Tuesday evening, who were working at that time, because those are the names we want to sue.
Did you believe that you're going to get a credible response? Because you claim that the Mtendere police post is more or less like a UPND, branch. That's how you put it. You say the police are infiltrated by UPND cadres. So do you have trust, in the police officers that are there? You said you've written to the commanding officer.
We are just exercising the normal way of communication, because we know them. Actually, we have these members, they've confessed. We actually have the names of those police officers who engaged in beating them. But we want to use it to make an official communication, so that they wouldn't say, why didn't you write to us? Why didn't we, you would have given us chance to explain ourselves. But we have given them that chance to explain to us what led to the beating of those young people. If they don't, we are going ahead to sue those police officers, because we know them.
My earlier question to you was that, was it necessary for you to have your party cadres carry with them flags when going to register? Your response was that, is it necessary for the UPND to mount flags all around Mutendere Market? So, for you, are you going head-to-head with the UPND in terms of what they're doing? If they're doing something wrong or unlawful, you will still do it because you have to go head-to-head with them?
Look at this. We are addressing our members. Is it wrong for them to know the leadership movement Ligalia or the leadership movement symbol? There's no problem with that. What should be a problem with the police to see people wearing leadership movement or having a flag of the leadership movement?
With you addressing, I guess maybe the police will see that as you now convening a gathering, and that now speaks into issues of the Public Order Act that we know in its current form has not been amended, and there's different aspects to it. Did you notify the police about this and so on? Because that could easily be seen as you creating a gathering, and for the police, they might see it as a possible security risk, because anything can happen. We're talking about individuals who support a political party. Anything can happen. You can have individuals from another political party come through and disturb that, which is going to create some sort of public anarchy.
Let me give you this example. We have seen the ECZ actually emphasizing the point that political parties have the duty to sensitize their members to register to vote. This is a very, it's a moral, it's an ethical way to do things, because every political party participates in, in elections. So it's incumbent on each and every political party to encourage their members to vote. So when we do a snapshot...
Were you having this gathering outside the registration center?
No, it was just, we were getting into the registration center to see the members who are registering there.
And then you started addressing your people from right there.
We are addressing the media. We are addressing the media. And just like any leader, when you come around, people will be there, or they will see you. We had a lot of members there who were actually registering to vote. And they will definitely be there. So it's not even a meeting, it's a movement. We are moving. And then we have these media asking about how the registration is going on and all that. What makes the police to get agitated upon seeing that and arresting members? Why don't they arrest me then? Why didn't they say, okay, since Dr. Silumbe came to Vera Chiruba, a registration center, let's arrest him. So it doesn't make sense to them. So now they go and arrest someone just walking.
Was there, and I think it would also be good for us to also hear from the police there to get their side, because it does sound quite absurd that people would just be walking and the police would go and start beating up people for merely just walking. Because the question to come up is, was there some sort of resistance from these individuals? Did they do something that prompted a reaction from the police. Yes, of course, even the conduct of the police needs to be questioned. But I mean, with the way you're putting it, that they were just walking and they were picked up and they were beaten up from men just walking with party regalia.
They have explained that they found a group of leadership movement walking with party regalia. Then they wanted to arrest them, and then they scampered in all direction, and they arrested only two. Doesn't make sense. You find people walking.
Let me read the statement. October 14, 2025, the Zambia Police Service wishes to confirm that Mtendere Police Station today, October 14, 2025, at around 18 hours, received a report from a concerned member of the public that a group of youth...
A UPND member, that is. They should have specified.
...was seen marching towards PHI Mall within Mtendere area while carrying reddish flags and wearing white t-shirt written "Vote for Richard Silumbe for President 2026. A team of police officers was immediately dispatched to follow up on the report. Upon seeing the officers, the group of youths scampered in different directions. However, two suspects were apprehended and identified as Stephen Nyendwa, age 30, and James Shamozili, age 20, of Mtendere compound. Police recovered two reddish flags, one white t-shirt bearing inscription "Vote for Richard Silumbe for President 2026, a black beret, and two caps with the logo bearing the portrait of the same individual. The duo is currently detained in police custody for the offense of idle and disorderly conduct while investigations into the matter continue. The Zambia Police Service would like to remind members of the public to always abide by the provisions of the law when conducting any form of public processions. Unlawful processions or conduct likely to cause public disorder will not be tolerated.
Now, let me tell you this. I had a meeting with the police there, the commanding officer and the officer in charge. Do you know what the reason they gave me? They said that our procession and the movement that was carried out would cause traffic. And I wondered, everyone laughed to say, how does it create traffic when people are just moving? They are coming from a certain program and they are walking along the way, and the traffic in Mtendere is the name of the game. Every time there is traffic, but at that particular day, traffic was blamed on these young people.
Do you think the UPND are threatened by the leadership movement?
I really don't see a reason why the UPND can be threatened by the UPND.
Why mustn't be threatened by you?
I don't see that as the reason. I don't see the reason why the UPND can be threatened by the leadership movement. I just see trigger-happy police officers and cadres, UPND cadres. That is the usual behavior of cadreism, which, by the way, we are condemning. We feel that cadreism should be...
But just on that, because what the police made reference to here is the issue of public procession. So don't you think that what needs to be addressed first and foremost is the Public Order Act? Because we've been seeing this before when the UPND themselves were in the opposition. We saw some of these things happen where you have people who try to protest with placards and so on, or have solo protests and so on. Don't you think the issue here is the Public Order Act, which we've also heard in terms of the intentions to have it amended? Don't you think that is what the root cause of all of this is, rather than blaming those who enforce it?
Is it there in the terms of reference, the Public Order Act?
No, there's a public gathering bill that currently has been worked on.
Those are the issues maybe the opposition would look at. But at this instance, when we look at what happened there in Mtendere, we just see trigger-happy police officers moved by the ruling cadres, call them to force them to stop because they don't want leadership movement or any political party to appear in public.
How come you're not arrested when you moved with hundreds and hundreds of your members on the Copper Belt?
This is what we are talking about. Because there in the Copper Belt, some of the police officers are quite professional. They understand that. And they knew that this wasn't a procession that could cause any disorderly behavior. But here we have a Mtendere area, which is considered the head office for UPND cadres, and that behavior was exhibited.
Are you worried, Dr. Richard Silumbe, that the numbers for voter registration don't look quite impressive? The voter turnout has been impressively law. Are you worried that people are not turning out to vote? And don't you think this then will lead to voter apathy and giving an advantage to the UPND?
Voter apathy in any way cannot give the UPND an upper hand, because what will happen definitely is that they will fail to get the needed votes. And remember, Zambians are very sad. Zambians are the biggest opposition that the UPND government has today. Not leadership movement, not anyone. Not all these cadres they are looking for. It's the Zambian people out there who are counting the cost, who know that the UPND, when it came into power, promised cheaper meal, and yet meal is skyrocketing. The Zambian people there who were promised that when they come into power, they had the 5 better kapaki to load shedding. That they talked about Dubai that doesn't have water and rivers, but yet there is no load shedding. They have failed lamentably. And that should be a source of nervousness, which you, by the way, you will not agree, but they have it. They have that nervousness because they didn't deliver anything to the Zambian people, and the Zambians are watching. But and the Zambians are saying, wait for 2026 and we are going to speak. And they are going to speak in ways that no one would
at the same time,
would underestimate.
Political scientists, analysts who have observed that one of the reasons that's giving the UPND confidence is the state of the opposition. Yes, you might say the Zambian people are the real opposition, but at the same time, people need to cast a vote in 2026. But the concern or argument is that the opposition is divided, that who will be the person that people will vote for, because there's so many of you with your respective ideas, different ideas, but don't you think that's going to split the vote of those who do not agree or do not feel the UPND deserves another opportunity in 2026?
Let me give you just an example. We saw the Malawi elections. You saw the ballot paper. How many people were there? There were more than 20. You can agree with me.
But there was a forerunner, even from the opposition.
Definitely, but there were how many opposition political parties?
Just like in 2021, where there were 16 of you that contested.
Definitely,
but
and President Hakainde Hichilema won an election.
But he was the forerunner from the opposition, and that was something that was also seen by many other people prior to that. But getting into 2021, who would you say is that person? Would you say is that presidential candidate?
What it is this: the Zambian people are agitated by the behavior of the UPND. The UPND has failed to deliver anything, and what will happen is this: even if Zambians can divide votes and vote for anyone, when the UPND government fails to get 50+1, that will be their end. Believe me, that will be their end, because what will happen is that the second percentage from the 49% of the government, that second percentage, the second runner will have everyone to support him, and he will beat the ruling government.
Will that opposition be?
That is what will happen. So you don't need to know who is the forerunner today. What you should know is that the biggest opposition is the people. When the people are angry and they don't give the UPND 50+1, that will be it.
Are the people with you?
I am in the game. I don't need to sound like I shouldn't be saying I'm the one or what, but what I'm telling you is this: I'm part of the game, and there are so many others. We are the opposition, so it doesn't mean we don't need to be seen as one for the UPND government to lose. We can be seen in this scattered format, but once people cast votes, definitely there will be the second, and that second would carry the day. If it will be me, I'll tell you, but give me time. I'll not tell you today for some reason, because we are in the game. Why should I give you the secrets? Why should I tell you what I'm about to do? I shouldn't discuss it today or here on this forum. We are all on the ground. We are working. We shall be known by our fruits.
Doctor,
that's what it is.
Dr. Professor Richard Silumbe, thank you so much for making the time to be a part of tonight's edition of Diamond Live.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was a conversation with Dr. Richard Silumbe. He is president and leader of the opposition leadership movement. We're having a conversation regarding the terms of reference for the constitutional amendment process that have been unveiled today, but also we're looking at the arrest of his party members that were arrested on the 14th of October 2025. On behalf of the entire production crew, thank you so much for watching. My name is Andrew Mons, and good night.
My name is Jumaila Chileshe. Up next is the Stephen Perry Show.